Hello everyone, how are we getting on? It's Monday and after a wonderful trophy-filled weekend to be a Celtic supporter, we're now looking ahead to another opportunity this weekend to win yet another one of those things. This is the Celtic Way. I am Hamish, he is Tony, he is Ryan. I don't know why I introduced you like that, guys. I'm just in a fine mood today. How are you, Ryan?
Things are all good. Yeah, it's been a great weekend for both the men and women's team. It's good to get used to success. You have to get used to success at a club like Celtic. But congratulations to the women's team on their first ever league title. I was kind of keeping up to date with the score on my phone, and then all of a sudden, all these notifications. I got loads of notifications saying they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. They're not. And then I've seen about 5 or 6 come up at once saying, "Go, go, go! Something's happened. Something happened," which is absolutely brilliant to see. So well done to them. Well done to the men's team on securing yet another league title. And yeah, all focus is on Saturday for the Scottish Cup final. Make mine's a double, as I said the other day.
I always think like when you're getting that first trophy, talking about the Celtic FC women, it's really easy when you're trying to achieve a feat for the first time. It really reminded me of that famous Sergio Aguero moment, the SWPL's version of that. I think that was Man City's first title. This is Celtic women's first title, Tony. And after a frustrating game, Amy Gallagher steps up in the last minute. Great goal as well, great feat, great finish. Great celebration. I think 7,000 at Celtic Park as well. A very healthy crowd.
A tremendous, and they did it the Celtic way, didn't they? Kept going. They never stopped and all that 90th minute. And well done to them. You've got to say congratulations to them. And you know what a feeling that must be for them. Waking up this morning, the first ever Scottish Women's Premier League title for Celtic. So you have to say a huge congratulations to them. And I think it was fitting we did it in, you know, the connection, the Celtic family connection with Amy Gallagher and Patsy Gallagher. You just couldn't make that up, could you? Some people say it's probably fated and written in the stars. Well, it clearly was this season. So well done to them for that. And you have to applaud that. And as you say, 7,000 people at Celtic Park yesterday probably thought the worst when the clock's ticking down. Boom. It's never over till it's over. And you should know that by now with any Celtic team. They will fight to the death, and you have to say a huge congratulations to the Celtic women's team. Well done.
Yeah, and we're into the Champions League again, Ryan. It'll be the Champions route of qualifying, which is different to obviously what we had this season. So in theory, it should be a little bit easier. I'd say it's still a tall order probably to reach the group stage, just because we're quite far off from the elite kind of women's teams. But, you know, hopefully now the fact we've won that first league title, we can just kick on and become the dominant force in women's football in this country.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just as important to have the women's game in the same projection as the men's team. It's still Celtic after all, and it's great to see that. Hopefully they can make strides in the European competitions as well and really push forward and get more trophies next season. But yeah, delighted for them, delighted for Elena Sidiku, who only came in January, and she's already got her first league title. Got to give credit to Fran Alonso for the work that he did in terms of exposing the women's game even more and more, you know, especially over the past 3-4 years. But Elena's came in and she's delivered on her ambitions, and it's great to see that. Great to see Amy Gallagher score. She's been one of Celtic's best players this season.
25 league goals.
She's scoring most weeks. Every time you see the Celtic women's team score a goal, it's usually her name. But yeah, or Tash Flint's name as well. You've got to give a special shout out to her too. But yeah, Patsy Gallagher's great granddaughter. You know, he was a potent goal scorer for Celtic too, and it's great to see his great granddaughter following in his footsteps as well. So yeah, it's a great story. It's a great fairy tale story and a great fairy tale ending for the women's team, and hopefully that's just the start of many.
Yeah, I think it will be. Hopefully, now the monkey's off the back, so to speak, in terms of the league, we can kick on. And it was just the perfect weekend, guys. The men's first team get the trophy. All right, we didn't win it or anything on Saturday, but we get the trophy, and on Sunday it's the women's turn. Celtic just posted a thing, I think in the last half an hour, of an image of both of them celebrating at Celtic Park. with their respective league championships above their head. Kelly Clark and Callum McGregor. It's an amazing time to be a Celtic fan. Listen, we're going to chat about Saturday especially, and look ahead to this coming Saturday. First of all, big thanks to MPH Boilers and Weissman for sponsoring this video. They have teamed up, and if you're looking for a boiler right now, you should get it from Weissman. And when you choose a Weissman boiler installed by MPH, you'll also get a free internet controller and your first year service for free, so you can check that out. And Ryan, we've still got this amazing offer going as well.
Yep, we were talking on Saturday about what's been our best ever offer, but I think this one takes the cake for sure. 6 months of access, as has been the case previously, for a single £1. Have you subscribed to the channel, or subscribed to the website rather, until near enough the end of November, so you'll be sorted until nearly halfway through next season. Plus, you could also win lunch for Celtic legendary manager Martin O'Neill. If you want to get involved, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Reminder that all of our current subscribers, and we thank everybody that's joined the platform thus far, are automatically entered into this amazing draw. So yeah, you've got to be in it to win it. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. It's been a real big growth over the past month, 2 months or so, and it's been great to see. So if you haven't already subscribed, please press that button, completely free, and you get notified when we next go live, or we go live with pre-recorded videos too. So yeah, thank you.
Great stuff, Ryan. How was Saturday for you at the game?
Yeah, it was really, really good, to be honest. It was a great day all in. I actually sampled some of the atmosphere when I went back into town later on. There was still a bit of a party atmosphere going on. Stayed clear of the Tron Gate and that, because it looked a bit messy by that point. I went in about 9:30, but there was still a party mood. The pubs were still very much full with people celebrating the win. Yeah, it was just a great day all in. Celtic got the job done. It was a topsy-turvy game that was sort of a microcosm of Celtic's season as a whole, conceding goals, poor defending, but individual magic got them through, and they got the win in the end from Lewis Palmer. It was a good moment from him. I was getting a bit of stick online and on the podcast for saying that I thought he didn't have the greatest of games. I thought it was a mixed game from him.
You were getting stick for saying that?
Yes. He got man of the match in the stadium and on the TV.
He got man of the match?
I was extremely
That's just because he
surprised
scored the last goal, though. That's the only reason he got that was yeah.
The only thing though was when Lewis Palmer scored, Ian Crocker said Celtic's best player on the day. I'm like, I must have been watching a different game to virtually everyone. Now, I know some of my takes can be a wee bit hot and a wee bit misguided. Sometimes I'll put my neck on the line whenever I've got an opinion on something, but I thought he struggled at the weekend, but he got the goal, he kept on going, and hopefully that's a launch pad for the rest of his Celtic career, or a resurgence of his Celtic career. Want him to be a good option to have coming off the bench on Saturday, because I don't think he's going to start the game, but yeah, shows character, was there at the right time, great ball in by Ralston. It was a topsy-turvy game, but Celtic got the win, and they celebrated in style. They were always going to celebrate, but they celebrated in style, which was great to see.
It kind of summed up the season. I thought Tony, win at all costs. What was the phrase again? Along those lines, the banner. I've completely forgotten the phrase.
By any means necessary.
By any means necessary. That's it. And that just, I thought the weekend just kind of summed that up. I guess Palmer was involved. Like, he was really involved. He was a real outlet in that first half, Tony. But I don't know if I'd say was particularly great. Certainly not man of the match.
No, I mean, he put in some decent deliveries and missed an absolute sit over the head, didn't he? He had a very Palmer-like game, didn't he? Some of his passing was erratic. Scored the winner. So it's a kind of mixed bag of a game for Palmer. But listen, I think he just sort of served a wee bit of notice, saying I'm still around, I can still do things. Maybe after a good pre-season under his belt, he'll be willing to contribute a lot more, but he has to be more consistent, doesn't he, to force his way into that team.
Yeah.
Right now, you just don't see it at the minute. He'll continue to play parts until such times where he can be trusted to really produce. His numbers are good still. His stats are decent. So he's got something. But again, you saw the kind of good, the bad, and the ugly of Palma again, didn't you? He's just, every time he performs, you see all of that. As for man of the match, I'm not too sure. I would have said it was somebody else, i.e. like Matt O'Reilly or Kyogo or even Joe Hart for sentimental reasons. But
Scott Bain.
I'm going to make that point actually, Hamish. He was absolutely flawless in everything that he did.
Cameo, so. But listen, people see it differently. That's why we're doing what we do. We see it differently from others as well at times. But it was just great to get the win, sign off the season in a bit of style in terms of winning the football match and getting the trophy presented with you up in the back of a victory. And it's just, everything's just all heading for next week, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a weird kind of feeling. I was thinking about this earlier. It's felt in recent years like you've had winning the league, big event, trophy day, big event, and then that's kind of been it. Now, I know we had the Scottish Cup final after trophy day last season, but I think, if we're honest, we kind of all knew deep down we weren't going to have any issues with against Inverness. The year before, we didn't have the Scottish Cup final. I think a couple of years before that, COVID season and stuff, we didn't have the Scottish Cup final. So it's really, I think the last time we've kind of had a big final that's in doubt after trophy day is probably that Hearts one for the treble. So it's a bit of a kind of strange feeling. It's almost as if things were winding down a little bit and you had trophy day and the families on the pitch and all of that stuff you see at the end of the season. And then suddenly today the players are all back in training, gearing up for a derby. You know what I mean? It's a bit of a kind of bit of a contrast. And I feel like after partying for basically the last 5 or 6 days since we won the league, we're now have to kind of calm down again and just realise that there's a pretty big game on Saturday. I think we'll come on to talk about that in a wee minute. Just first of all, guys, on Saturday just past there, personally, there's nothing I really take from the game. Really, I just thought it was a good game, but end of season type stuff. Did you guys see anything? Any players stand out? Anyone struggle on Saturday, or was it just a case of, the final game was a decent game and we won?
I think, even though it was an end of season game, I thought Stephen Welsh really struggled throughout the time that he was on the park. Unfortunate that he came off with an injury, but I think the injury is in part down to the way that he got too touch tight to his defender, to his marker. Allowed himself to get shrugged off, and then he fell awkwardly on his shoulder or whatever. But he was caught for the penalty as well, which was soft. But Celtic got a soft penalty the week before against Rangers, so I guess it evened itself out in that regard. I just thought he really struggled, and it's a position for next season. You want the backups or the players that won't necessarily be playing every week to be of an acceptable standard and of a good enough standard that if there are injuries, then Celtic won't get into the same positions that they did this season. I'm calling it last season already. There's still a game to go. Last league season, rather. You're wanting these players to be able to come in with minimum fuss. And I know it was an end of season game, but I thought he really struggled. I thought Nawrocki was okay beside him, but the team did stabilise when Liam Scales came on. I know it was later on in the game, but it was almost as if, we brought on one of our first choice centre-backs and they stabilised as a result of that. So, potentially I would be wanting Scales to be in that position next season where he maybe sits on the bench for a better centre-back to come in, hopefully during the summer. I think there will be movement, but yeah, I do think that conceding 2 goals to St Mirren at home does still mean that there needs to be some... I know there was changes in the team. Ralston was in the team and he was so important for that winning goal. But I just think that going into next season, there needs to be a strengthening of this back four. The starters are good. Most of them are good. Like, I'd be wanting a replacement for Scales and maybe another left back, a left back to at least come in and challenge Greg Taylor. But yeah, you're looking for the guys that are maybe coming in that haven't played a lot to not concede goals against St Mirren. It was a bit too topsy-turvy for my liking, but it's an end of season. I can put it down to that. I just think Celtic need to strengthen in the summer, and I do think that Celtic will strengthen in the summer, so that's fine.
There was a good quote, Tony, from Brendan Rodgers after the game. He was asked on the Sky Sports interview whether he'd enjoyed the challenge this season, and he said, yeah, but he'll enjoy it more next season when we can strengthen the squad. So strengthening the squad is on the manager's mind, and I think that's really important.
Of course, because you look at that. I mean, your big problem next week is how we're going to deal with cross balls, high balls. Again, undone by, was it like a throw in that caused consternation,
Yeah.
and then a long ball forward, just a simple ball over the top, and Welsh gets caught, doesn't he? So, and you've seen Celtic lose goals like that repeatedly. So I think the manager, when he's talking about strengthening, I think the central defence is one area that he's going to have to, and left back as well. So I think next week, be prepared from Saturday for an aerial bombardment from Rangers, trying to put the ball in behind and maybe focus on Greg Taylor, back post balls and stuff like that. You know that's coming, so you have to deal with that accordingly. I think it's Rangers' best chance of maybe getting success, because you and I can all see it. There is a vulnerability there at this point, because they're conceding goals, and it's a similar type of goals they're conceding, aren't they? They're just not, somehow they're not dealing with, simple bread and butter crosses or high throw-ins into the box. So it's something that needs to be addressed. But yeah, I would like the manager talking about that, because it's clear he's got his eye on next season as well, and he did use that keyword strengthen, and he was talking about they had a good boardroom meeting the other day. So I think already these things have been spoken about, and I think he's maybe submitted some proposals. I want X, Y, and Z, and I think this is maybe the time we've spoken about it at Celtic. Are going to say to him, "Yep, you've earned the right to X, Y, and Z. Go and see what you can do, see who you can bring in." And he emphasised again in one of the press conferences prior to one of the games, he was talking about quality. It's clearly a bugbear of his. He wants quality players, not substandard players that he was given last summer and January. But talking about the team, I think the team picks itself for the cup final. The only real decision he has to make is Ida or Kyogo, isn't it? And I think we'd all agreed now that it's Kyogo, isn't it?
Yeah, Kyogo starts against Rangers, definitely. Yeah. And he will.
Yeah.
He will.
That's what I mean. So, and the rest is as is, isn't it? Don't you think? Same three midfielders, Maeda, Forrest, Scales, Carter Vickers, Taylor and
Johnston. Yeah.
I mean, there's no real issue there for me.
And maybe that would be one of the things from the weekend. There's not a player you would look at and go, he really made the manager think about it. But
nobody played themselves into a starting slot for the cup final. In my opinion, I'm sure other people would agree.
Yeah. The point I would make, I just think on the weekend, I mean, I don't know if we conceded either of those goals with Cameron Carter-Vickers in the team, and that's, adding on to next season as well. That's one thing I'd like to see the club look at. Our dependent, but Carter-Vickers is always going to be a vitally important player for us, but he's more than that for us. It's kind of like when Carter-Vickers isn't there, everything falters. And we saw evidence of that on Saturday. The minute Carter-Vickers isn't there, we're conceding really, really soft goals. By the way, I know we've conceded some, like the goal in the recent derby, and he was on the pitch, etc. But just in general, I think next season, I'd love us to find a way to just deal with Carter-Vickers not being there a bit better, because you'd never know what the situation will be with him. I think we need to sign another centre-back to play alongside him, but also someone who can be there and be that commanding force if Carter-Vickers isn't there, because I don't think there's a leader there in that centre-back pairing if Carter-Vickers isn't there. But I just think on the weekend, we were missing a number of players. I really wouldn't read anything into it personally, but Ryan, did the team pick itself for this weekend? Is there anyone you could throw in there?
I think it's the team that started against Rangers, to be honest with you. The team that started against Rangers, the team that started at Kilmarnock, the one that played against Hearts. It's got to be that starting 11. James Forrest is there. He looks as if he's just. It seems as if he's found a turn of pace again. I don't know if he's doing anything different in training, or it's just his ball retention is better, but. He's a lot more safer than the other wingers. I thought Kuhn didn't take his opportunity at all. At least Palmer was doing things on the pitch and trying.
A bit worried about Kuhn, I'll be honest.
Yeah, blows hot and cold, too hot and cold to my liking.
Doesn't do enough.
Maybe a full pre-seasonal. We'll see. I think some of the summer signings will be shipped out, whether that's on loan or permanently. It wouldn't surprise me if the majority of the summer signings leave to go to pastures new. And I could even see Palma in that category as well, potentially, if there was a better fit for him elsewhere. You look at Lagerbielke, he'll definitely go. You look at Yang, he'll probably go out on loan. Kwon will probably go out on loan. Nawrocki will want game time, so either he's going to get it here or he's going to get loaned out or shipped out permanently. All of a sudden, Bernardo will probably leave the club because he's hardly had any game time in this stretch.
I think we'll sign him.
Nah, not now. Not with he would have played, wouldn't he? He would have been playing the games if Celtic were going to sign him.
We'll sign him.
Maybe they can renegotiate the fee if it's somewhere closer to 3-4 million, and they see him as that. But I don't see Celtic shelling out the 6 million that's been reported. I don't think he's a 6 million player just yet. Can he turn into that? Very much so. I think he's got enough talent and he's got enough goodwill, especially if he's goal against Rangers and some of his performances in the festive period. But at this moment, I don't think he's a £6 million player. I think Celtic could do better for maybe even less money elsewhere. That's up to the new recruitment team to find diamonds elsewhere. But then again, they might just see this as an acclimatisation period for him, bring him in the summer. So it's up to Brendan Rodgers at this point. You know, I just see a lot of players leaving in the summer. I don't think it's going to be a rebuild of that. It's just going to be a remastering of this squad. But there's got to keep the key components, that being Johnson, McGregor, potentially Hatate if he doesn't leave the club. I think Matt O'Reilly will go, Yogo. It's all these players. As long as you can keep that core and then add to that, replace any players that are going to be big misses in the squad and just strengthen ahead of next season. They've got money, so it's time to go and spend it and really strengthen and really back the manager this time around. They made that mistake the first time around. They can't do it again. They need to back him sufficiently and he'll bring results, which is what he's done this season, despite not really being backed with the correct players.
Yeah. Just on the game coming up, Tony, I guess the real positives, and as I say, the players we're kind of talking about maybe we're not totally happy with. Palma, Kuhn aren't going to start on Saturday. I mean, the players will get starting on Saturday. You're looking, Kyogo will start the game. He got a goal at the weekend. Brilliant goal, by the way.
Yeah.
Hatate, I thought, was excellent for that goal as well. He'll start. O'Reilly is just unbelievable at the moment. He's playing so well, and it just fills you with so much confidence for the final, knowing that O'Reilly's going to be playing, because he is just on the top of his game. McGregor's kind of flawless at the moment. James Forrest, Dice and Maeda are going to be back in and fresh for the weekend. We're going to have Carter Vickers back, Alistair Johnson back, Liam Scales back, which is a ridiculous thing to say a year ago, but yeah. And Joe Hart's in his final game. It's there's reasons to be really confident for this final. We just got a comment in there, actually. Dogs are very confident as well, from the sound of things.
You want me to take this one, Tony?
I just want to read out. I'll mute you for a second, Tony. I just want to read out the one in from Sugarman there. Ultra confident for the final. Got a feeling it will be a hammering. We won't be as wasteful this time around. Ryan, are you? I mean, it's still going to be a challenging game for me. Probably a pretty tight game, but I guess we're definitely favourites for it based on
massive
the way the two teams are playing at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Celtic won the league by 8 points. I don't think it was an 8-point title win, but we'll take it. Mathematically, it's 8 points, so we'll take it. I think that just goes to show you what team can deal with the pressure and what team can't whatsoever at this point in time. No two ways about it. Rangers are going to have a rebuild in the summer. They're going to lose a lot of the familiar faces that Celtic have got used to really achieving victory over the past 3, 4, 5 years. I think a lot of them will leave the club. They'll bring in new players. Celtic will go through a small remastering or rebuild or whatever you want to call it. But this game on Saturday, Celtic are absolutely massive favourites. For the first time under Brendan Rodgers, I said they're real favourites in this game. If they turn up and play to the best of their abilities against a team that are struggling, they were up 3-1 with 8 minutes to go against Hearts. I know it was a nothing game, but to concede 2 goals late on like that shows where they are defensively at the moment, and it's definitely something that can be got at. You've got James Tavernier that cannot deal with Dice and Maeda whatsoever. I think that it's a mental thing with Tavernier against Maeda, because he knows he's going to be playing against him, and now he's got that in his head almost. He's the sort of Celtic's equivalent of the boogeyman, because he knows he's there and he knows he's going to cause trouble, but and he can't really do anything about it because he's just faster than him, and he's better at intercepting the ball than he is at keeping it. I just think Celtic are in a great position, and if they turn up and play to the best of their abilities, as I've said throughout the season, Celtic turn up and play, they win the game because they've got the better players. If Rodgers can mastermind a double from what it seemed like it was going to be a bit of a... At one point, it looked as if it was going to be a bit of a nightmarish scenario in the season where you're playing catch-up. To get a double would be an incredible bit of a title winning or a silverware winning season. Yeah, they're a couple of days away from really achieving something quite special, considering where they were even just a few months ago. So all the credit's got to go to Brendan Rodgers and his players for really turning this around. Let's just get the final piece of the jigsaw sorted on Saturday.
Yeah.
There's an air of supreme confidence among the Celtic supporters, Hamish, which troubles me a wee bit. Lots of people are saying it's going to be a real slaughter job. I just couch that by saying, the mood music going into it is a team on the ascendancy, or playing like a team that are starting their season and one on a bit of a decline. But it's their last hurrah on Saturday, and they will give it everything to win this football match. Complacency is not something I would associate with a Brendan Rodgers Celtic team. At this minute in time, Celtic are the better team with better players and have the better manager. And I think the stage is set on Saturday for Celtic to go out and prove that. But you can never ever underestimate your city rivals. It's Rangers are playing in a Scottish Cup final. So just, if Celtic screw the nut, as they say in Glasgow parlance, and just get down to business, they will triumph, they will win the game because they have better players, better options as well from the bench, and they're just better all round. And it's proven that. But you're up against an opponent, and going back to the days of Jock Stein always said that in any given game, he always worked on the premise that Celtic could lose. So I think it's lots of wild predictions about scorelines and stuff like that. They very rarely happen in Scottish Cup finals. We know, we trust this manager, we trust the players, that if they turn up and play and bring their A game, they will win this football match. But you have to temper it with a bit of realism as well. It's not any ordinary cup final, it's an extraordinary cup final. You've got a chance, as Ryan said there, to achieve something really, really special in a season that's been full of peaks and troughs. But you've also got a team who are hurting badly, and they need some solace, they need some comfort, they need to get some succour and consolation from the season. So I just think that, I don't think the manager would ever be complacent. I don't think those players would ever be complacent at all. I'm just trying to bring it down a level and just make sure that you're bang at it on Saturday. Expectations are running wild a wee bit right now, and it is a great time to be a Celtic supporter. And the success and the silverware and the triumphs that we've had through a bit of adversity this season has been brilliant. We've got one more to go. Just complete the job. You're not on the beach or on holidays yet, but you're as confident as you can be about doing that, aren't you?
And you've got really recent evidence, literally.
Yeah.
What was it, 8 days ago, the last match? You have evidence of turning up, applying yourself properly, and finding out pretty, obviously that you're a better team than Rangers. The players will know that. They'll be really confident going into this. But equally this week, they will have Callum McGregor, at them every single day, I can guarantee, starting today. In fact, probably starting on Saturday after the game, saying, guys, we go again. This is going to be a really tough game. You need to hit your top level and win this game. Take nothing for granted. That we're getting hammered into them every day. It's Joe Hart's last game as well. He'll be telling them, we need to work hard. He mentioned that in the Sky Sports interview so many times. He said, we're back to work. We work hard ahead of the Saturday. I've got all of that in my mind, and it's a better place to be, Tony, to be...
without a doubt.
Not humble, but to... to look at the game and to just kind of realise that it's a proper challenge. and all that. But I've also got this small part of me that's going, like, are you going to get a top level Rangers team on Saturday? You always prepare for that. I have my doubts. I honestly think a lot of their players have checked out for the season, and I also think we're going to be bang at it. If that happens, I think we'll win pretty comfortably. But I think definitely as a support, we go into the game expecting a real challenge. But it's all set up, Ryan. I mean, we've had a lot of derbies recently, and I sometimes think that takes away from it a little bit. But I think also this is the first one this season where there's been fans of both teams in the stadium. I think that'll make a big difference to the whole match, and the fact it's a Scottish Cup final. But what an opportunity for the team to just win it and end the season on a high.
Yeah, I've got to be honest, I do love the 50-50 split between the Celtic and the Rangers fans at Hampden. I think it creates a cauldron that's unmatched in terms of atmospheres in football. Put it down to the fact that there's a trophy waiting at the end. One team's going to win the double this season, whether it's Rangers with their League Cup and Scottish Cup. Not a double that I would personally want, because you don't get the League Cup, you don't get the Premiership trophy, which is the bread and butter. Celtic have got that. They've got the chance to get probably a more attractive double than Rangers would be. Yeah, that's the bread and butter. It's what you go out to achieve at the start of the season, the very first game, or even before that in pre-season. That's what you're looking to achieve. Celtic can get 2 trophies at the end of this, and what has been a transitional season. You know, you've had to deal with that Ange hangover that's been present, and I thought it was present a lot in the first 6 months. They managed to shake that off, and you're now starting to see them playing some good football. I know it was topsy-turvy, but it was a bit of a non-event on Saturday in terms of footballing. But recently, you know, you look at the Hearts game, you look at the Kilmarnock game, you look at the Rangers game in certain points. They've been playing good football. You're starting to see the Brendan Rodgers side coming to the fore. And that can only improve in the summer if he gets backed with some of his own players and gets backed with some serious cash. He's made the money. Celtic have got the Champions League money. Let's see if the board can back him and really take this team forward. It's all about ambition for me, but you know, you still get the cup duty to do. Get that trophy, get a double, and then go into the summer with a renewed sense of optimism after what has been a bit of a topsy-turvy league season, or in all competitions it's been topsy-turvy, but you know, they've came out of it hopefully with a double.
I don't even think that this is a marker for next season, because I think both sides will be vastly different from next season in terms of personnel, and I include Celtic in that. You talk about a Rangers rebuild and stuff like that, but Celtic aren't going to exactly just stand still, are they? They'll be bringing in new players, so you could see, like, I don't know how many Rangers players will be different, but you could see at least 3 or 4 changes in personnel from Celtic. So, you know, it's not even a mark. It's just, I think, as I say, one team's looking for some solace and comfort in the summer and some hope, you know, and then another team is just thinking, let's round this season off. You know, it's not been a vintage one, but it can be really tinged with some silverware and give you a good feeling and a wonderful feeling heading into the summer, knowing that you're going to come back bigger and better and stronger with hopefully the quality players that the manager wants. And I think we're all in agreement that Celtic are in a good place, you know, and all the players are now fit. They're raring to go. It's one more push. You have that added kind of layer of Joe Hart retiring and everybody wanting to do it for him. These things can help you push you over the line. And if you alluded to Hamish, Rangers have problems with their personnel in terms of fitness for some of them, and you know, and if some of their players are injured, the ones coming in, that tells you all you need to know, because they've not been playing regularly over the past while. So that's how you've got a good feeling about Celtic. Again, they just need to turn up, and if they do, you can only see one winner.
That's how I feel. I think Celtic will be at it. But listen, we've got a good few days to go, and we can preview the game on each one of them. For now, though, we're going to head off. Just a final shout out for this offer. We've got 6 months of access for the Celtic Way for £1, and you could win lunch with Celtic legend manager Martin O'Neill. And if you've been a long-term subscriber, as I always say, you are already entered into the draw, so everyone wins. Well, that's not true because only one person wins, but there'll be a big winner. Very exciting prize on offer. Right, guys, let's head off. We will return tomorrow when we'll be a day closer to the big game. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in and commenting, etc.